This is a challenge video for enhanced reality, dealing with virtual and augmented reality technologies. And what we're going to do is to take on a particular challenge that has been identified. This one is, how might we ensure teachers have access to quality STEM instructional materials? And an augmented reality application looks like an ideal opportunity to provide access to STEM instructional materials. So we're looking for things that are going to demonstrate science, technology, engineering, or maths concepts. So this is a fairly broad grand challenge. Let's get down specifically and identify one particular area in it that we want to address. And we want to prepare some teaching materials around a particular topic. The one I've identified is nuclear fission. And if you don't know anything about nuclear fission, well, we can go and consult our tried and tested friend, Wikipedia, and pick up everything we'll ever need to know about nuclear fission from that. That was a bit of a joke. We would ideally spend a bit more time trying to understand concepts if we were trying to demonstrate anything particularly challenging. The idea with nuclear fission, however, is that we've got a free neutron floating around. If it hits a uranium atom, it will split that into two other atoms, releasing a number of other neutrons, which will then go on and split other atoms. One of the reasons I chose this is because it should work very nicely with the sort of content we might want to produce. So let's go and create ourselves an animation on nuclear fission that we can then import into our augmented reality application. So combining the skills we've got, we're going to fire up Blender as the source of our animation. Okay, we've got a cube there, which I don't think we need. I'm going to start setting up the save option, and we're going to call this one fission. Okay, so let's start. I'm going to take a top-down view of the process. Let's get ourselves a couple of actors into the scene at the moment. I'm going to create a mesh, a UV sphere, and let's scale this down, S for scale, reduce it down, and this can be our neutron. What color is a neutron? Let's give this a material. And a neutron, I think, is blue. Everyone knows that neutrons are blue, surely. Okay, we'll switch to the viewport shading mode there so we can see our neutron, and let's move that across somewhere exciting. Now we need a couple of uranium atoms to demonstrate this process. So let's create ourselves another sphere. And this can be a uranium atom, so we'll give that a new material as well. Uranium material. Okay, and what color is uranium? Uranium is a nice orange. Cool. Okay, so we've got some uranium there. What we'll do as well, when this is splitting up, it's going to form what's Kr krypton probably, and Ba barium. Does it say? No, well, that'll be good. So let's create a couple more objects for that. So I'm going to add in another sphere. Let's use an icosphere this time. Let's move that slightly off center so we can see it. Let's give that a new material. And that can be our Kr material. What color is Kr? Let's choose something distinctive, green. And let's add another one. The UV spheres aren't quite as round as the others. Oh, sorry, the isospheres aren't quite as round. This is going to be our Ba material. All right, and what color is barium? Something purplish should do. Okay, these two I'm going to scale down a bit because I'm going to play a cunning trick by embedding them inside my uranium so that when the splitting happens, they will be still visible. So let's go and just drop them inside there and just check from other viewpoints that they're not visible or sneaking out anyway. That's great. Okay, so we've got a uranium, and we are going to then create a couple more elements as well. So I'm going to select, press A, selects everything. I don't want to select everything. I want B to select everything in an area. And what I'm going to do is then go to, there should be a duplicate option somewhere under one of these options, object, duplicate objects. There we go, another uranium atom over there, and then we'll go and duplicate objects again. There's another uranium atom at that point. Right, let's get things sorted out. The first thing we're going to do is I anticipate that I will need to manage the animation. Let's see how many frames we've got. We've got 250 frames to play with. That should be good enough. Let's get this going. Okay, so when I split the atom, what I'm actually going to do is just shrink or scale down the uranium atom down to be infinitesimally small so we can't see it anymore. That's going to, and we'll just leave the others behind, and then we'll have a couple more neutrons floating around. So first thing I'm going to do is just set all the scales for the uranium atoms to be whatever they are at the moment. So R to insert a keyframe on scaling, that one, insert a keyframe on scaling, that one, insert a keyframe on scaling, and that one, insert a keyframe on the lock rot. Okay, let's see what is going to happen. Let's say round about frame 50, the neutron will have made it all the way to that point. And so what I'm going to do is insert a lock rot element over there. And I'm going to set a scaling keyframe on that one. If I don't do that, the uranium atom will gradually scale down as it anticipates the neutron colliding with it. So I'm just going to move one frame into the future, and I'm going to scale this uranium atom down to be tiny, and then I'm going to set its scaling operation over there. So if we just backtrack and play from frame 0, your neutron is heading off in that direction, and it hits the atom, and ka-ching, it's gone. And now we need a couple more neutrons. So what I'm going to do is to start to duplicate this neutron. I'll put it over there, and I'm going to go and duplicate that neutron. And let's put that over there. Okay, so what we'll do is just to set a keyframe on those for lock rot, keyframe on that one for lock rot, and just make sure that, okay, collides, ka-ching, 2 new elements created. Let's go to frame 100. And that one is going to move across to that position and keyframe there. That one is going to move across to that position and keyframe there. Take that one, keyframe the scaling there, that one, keyframe the scaling there, one frame into the future. So we're busy watching that axis over there, and we're going to scale that one down. Oops, wrong button, should be left click rather than right click, scale down, and set the scaling keyframe. And this one, be sneaky and move a few frames into the future, and I'll scale him down there. Set a scaling keyframe over there. Okay, so if we play that back, there come our extra neutrons, and ka-ching, collision. Let's get this neutron to bounce off somewhere as well. Can head off in that direction, and set a lock rot there. Okay, so this collision will have generated a few more neutrons, so let's go and object, duplicate object there, so another neutron there, and object, duplicate, stick it over there. Whoops, what I should have done was to set the keyframes in before I moved it, so let's just move that one. Okay, and so what we're going to do is to set a keyframe on that. Set a keyframe on that. This one as well. We're going to duplicate. Move them over there. Okay, set a keyframe. The keyframe. Right, now let's go a few more frames into the future and just get these extra neutrons to go shooting off into places. So that one can over there. That one can go over there. That one can continue its trajectory somewhere over there. That one can go there. That one can go that one can go there, and this one can go off over there. Okay, that looks promising on frame 160, so I think I will set the limits for my project to also be frame 160. That's about as far as we want to go. Okay, so if we rerun this all the way to the beginning, let's see how this is looking. Hey, not too bad. Okay, collisions are happening nicely, except we've got some of our neutrons are not behaving completely consistently. And so what I'm going to do with these, let's take this one, take it to the beginning. I'll take it to the point where it becomes relevant. Oh, that's the one that we want. So this one, let's set the scale at whatever it is at the moment, and then take it back to the beginning and scale it right down. Okay, let's see if we get any others. That one, set the scale there and scale it right down. Set the scaling at that point. I should have done that with the other one as well. So that one, scaling there, previous frame, scale it right down. Okay, we have to do some of the others as well. Get them. Okay, so that one, scaling there, previous frame. One, scaling there, previous frame. Let's see how we're doing. Promising, and just those last few, these fellows, previous frame, scale them right down. That one. Okay, let's see if that's, let's figure out who that guy is. Okay, I've got a couple of keyframes I'll need to clean up here, but I think that's good enough to demonstrate the principle without spending far too long on this video. There are a couple. That fellow has got an extra keyframe at some point. So let's scale him down to nothing and lock in the keyframe. Okay, that looks like something that will hopefully be more acceptable. Okay, I really want to track this guy and see where he goes. Okay, so what I want to do is to set the scale there and just the previous frame, scale him right down. Okay, now 1 neutron coming in, 2 going out, well, 2 and a bit really. And then more coming out there. Right, okay, so we're getting the effect going. Okay, I'm going to save this file now, and I'm going to export it as an FBX file so that we can now import it into our augmented reality experience. Okay, so that should be saved and ready to go. We can now go across to our augmented reality application. Some of you may recognize this marker. We're going to bring in our 3D object that we've just created. So let's bring in our fission. And we'll see if it survives the whole export-import process. Okay, so there it is. Are we going to see anything happening? I was hoping we would see some action happening with the animation. Let's try the preview. All right, I'm just going to pause this so that I can set up the preview on the phone. Okay, recording should be running again now. So what I have done in the interim is just to change some of the things that we are doing at the moment. So going back to our project, one thing that I would suggest is rewinding the playback to the beginning. And it looks like the animation export is not working perfectly if we use FBX. So I'm going to use one of the other formats. So I'm going to make use of this GLTF format to export the process. Okay, so we're going to save that in that GRB format, in which case I can go and add in my 3D object. And here are all the different ones I've tried. This one was the GLB one at the top. So it's importing fission.glb. And so we can start to see the animation playing. What it does seem to be doing is completely ignoring the scale parameter, so none of the scaling effects are coming through. So what I'm going to do is just demonstrate how this deploys to a mobile phone, and then I'll pause a bit, tinker with the animation to use something else other than scaling. I'll show you what that is in a minute, and then we'll try and get the full experience going. Okay, but let's put this into preview mode first. There is our preview. Here is the view on the mobile device. I'm going to start up the Unite AR application. And what you can see is it's looking at the image now. I'm going to press the scan button and we'll see if it can recognize the marker. It's found the target. Okay, now it's downloading the content we're working with. Okay, and now we can see our STEM instructional materials in action, or at least as far as the animation is allowing it at the moment. We're seeing a bit of movement and can walk around and admire our uranium atoms from the different viewpoints while the action is happening. All right, so I'm going to pause the recording at the moment, spend a bit of time tweaking the Blender file so that it doesn't use scales anymore, and I'll come back and show you what I got. Right, and we're back. So what has happened in the meantime? We've changed the Blender file so it doesn't use scaling anymore. Instead, you might notice this rather convenient looking box in the corner. If I move it away, it's my repository for all the spare materials. So instead of using scaling keyframes to make them shrink down to 0, I use translation or location keyframes to move them to this box when I am no longer needing them. So the animation goes as before. One neutron moves and hits the first uranium atom. that uranium atom then instantaneously translates to inside my box. At the same time, 2 of the neutrons that were inside the box translate back to this position where they can head off and strike 2 other uranium atoms. At that point, those uranium atoms instantaneously zap themselves inside the box, and 2 more neutrons for each of those translate back again, and we get the overall effect. Okay, so far so good. Now we need to get this whole animation exported in a format that Unite AR will actually tolerate. And that's not a trivial task in itself. The solution eventually was to go to the file and export options for the GLB format, and particularly to have a look down under the animation section. There were a couple of settings over there. I turned off this always sample animations and the NLA strips, and that seems to have done the trick. So it's all about tweaking these things. It looks like your Unite AR importer is not particularly robust and expects very carefully tailored files. Having done that, we can now go across to Unite AR, and I've just imported that GLB file. What you'll see there is the animation playing out from the beginning. Neutron, uranium, another chain reaction, and we get the strike going. So there we go. We've illustrated our STEM concept, and all that remains to be done is to get that across into AR. So let's fire up the phone again, fire up the Unite AR application, and try and get that to recognize this marker. Scan. Now, lighting condition hasn't got too much better. Let's see if we can get that scan going. Let's try to rotate the phone, get it centered. Okay, timed out. Let's try again. Tilt the screen back a bit. Ideally, taking markers off the screen is not perfect, but okay, it's found the target at last. Downloading the content. And there we have it. There is our demonstration floating around in space. Ka-ching. Need to add some sound effects, which we could probably do. And there is our STEM concept being illustrated in action. Okay, not a trivial task, but I did want you to see that we do face issues and that there are solutions if we just dig around and look for them.